Do you ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? Do you constantly forget things, maybe drop the ball, or you feel overwhelmed with everything? Or do you ever wonder, how are these other people getting so much done in a day and you just feel like you're spinning your wheels? Well, if that's you, trust me, you guys, I understand. That's me, or that was me for the longest time. People actually nicknamed me Squirrel. But I was also told time and time again that I was hands down the most productive squirrel that they had ever seen. So I thought, what if? What if I could actually get my time management under control and I wasn't scrambling all the time, or I wasn't forgetting stuff because I just didn't have any systems in place? What could I then produce? What would life look like? How could life look differently for me in a much more positive manner? I mean, hey, my life was still pretty darn amazing, but hey, we can always be better. So I want to share with you guys just this simple system that when I implement, it's amazing how I get all the scramble out of my head and I just have a sense of calm. All right. And I just feel so productive and I feel accomplished. So I want that for you. So I want to start off by saying, I'm just going to go through a few tips, just a little list for you guys, just to keep it super simple, but you're definitely going to want to take notes or you're going to want to hit the replay. All right. So first thing I did, and I want you guys to do, is yes, we are going old school. We're going old school. I want you to go out, either order it online or I went to my local Staples store, and I want you to get a paper day timer. And I also want you to get one that has 15-minute increments. Okay? Because when we can start tackling and filling in like 15 minutes at a time, or finding an extra 15 minutes of time here and there in a day, it's amazing how quickly, lo and behold, you can find an extra hour for all of those things that keep getting put on the bottom of the list and you never seem to get done. All right? Because trust me, we all waste a ton of time, especially those of us that just don't have an organized brain. All right? But hey, we can train ourselves. I'm living proof of that. So once you have this, you are going to start with your dump list, okay? Nothing fancy, guys, just a sheet of paper. This is my dump list. I did one at the beginning of the year, okay? So what's a dump list? That is getting everything out of your brain, everything that you have to get done, all of the goals that you're setting, what are the action steps, family stuff, all of the things. So I'm going to actually go through some key categories because I don't want you to forget anything. And of course, your dump list is going to be different than mine and different than the next person's. But I want you to actually go through and think of this as sort of like a memory jogger. Because again, when your brain is filled with all of this stuff and you have so much overwhelm, it's really easy to forget some things, okay? So, and you're not going to put these in order right now. You are just going to take them out of here and get them down on paper, because it is proven that when we write things down, they become real, okay? And guess what? You get the stress away from your body by doing it. So first category, family/home life, okay? And just so you know, for those of you that don't know me, I've been married for 30 years to my husband, Stan, and I have 4 kids. All right. So I have 2 children in their late 20s and I have 2 teenagers. So I understand what being busy is all about. I am still running to sports. I run a full-time business, right? My husband and I both work from home. So it is crazy busy. Plus, you know what? We love to still have time for the fun things in life. So if that sounds a little bit like you know that there's often not enough hours in a day, but I'm going to really help you create that with this system. And if you're already turning your nose up at like, oh, I use my phone, I'm into technology, just stick with me, okay? Because this was my biggest problem. I used to use the paper day timer. This is when I was most organized. And this is when I was my most successful in my business, in my health, all of the things that mattered most to me. But then I'm like, oh, I got this phone. It had a fancy calendar. I started using technology and I started putting all of my entire calendar on my phone. But it was amazing how many appointments I found myself missing, and I found myself wasting a lot more time. So yes, there is something to be said about old school, and you just have to train yourself with this system, okay? Just have an open mind. All right, so back to home and life. So I want you to write down, if you have kids sports or extracurricular activities, homework, play dates. And yes, okay, I still call them play dates. I have teenagers, but if you have teenagers, you're constantly driving them to their friends' houses, to kids' sports, to go to the mall. You know what I'm saying, okay? We're taxis until they get their drivers. So grocery shopping, meal prep, laundry, house cleaning, yard work, home maintenance repairs. Let's talk about some quality time. It's really nice to have some time put aside for that. Vacations or staycations, projects you need to get done that also create a lot of overwhelm in your life, okay? Anybody have a dripping faucet that they haven't dealt with? You just keep walking by and it nags at you? Or this disgusting room that is full of stuff everywhere. You can't find anything in it. But you guys, this is how we spend extra money as well, is because we're so disorganized and we don't even know what we have, okay? So really start identifying some of those key areas that you want to tackle. What are your non-negotiables? We're going to be getting to that, but even in your family home life, okay? I know you have these really, really important things, but also write down the things that you think may not be as high a priority on your list. All right, so now let's get into work. We all have bills to pay. I want you to write down, obviously, if you have a job, if you work, let's say from 8 to 5 every day, maybe you work from home, okay? Write down any overtime, if you have to travel for work, if you have to work on weekends. Are you trying to build an extra side hustle? I work with a lot of people that are doing this, okay? Or are you self-employed? Do you already have an online business, okay? Or maybe you have your own brick and mortar business. Are you having to create social media content? Is there planning involved? Creation, editing, scheduling, daily posting, social media engagement. You guys, that's a beast in itself. This is what we're doing right here, okay? This is what I'm doing for you right now. Customer acquisitions, calls, follow-ups. Think of all the income-producing activities that you have to do. If you have a team, maybe team sales calls or mentorship trainings, business management. How about some bookkeeping, okay? Are you behind on your taxes? Meetings and networking. If you're in business, these are, you have to network. Education, learning, calls, courses, masterminds, personal development. I mean, the world is changing so much, and especially with AI here, so many of us that used to do things the way, we were used to, we're having to learn new things. We have to put time aside for that. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I just don't have enough hours in the day. I want to take on more stuff, but I just don't have enough time. This is where the magic of this extra 15, 20 minutes in the pockets of your day, you guys, it's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer, okay? All right, next. So that was work. Now we're going to talk about financial/money management. Because it's one thing to go and work and make money. It's another thing to hold on to that money or make that money work for you. So how much time are you doing budgeting, paying bills, again, organizing, filing? I'm going to bring up taxes again. Doing updated bookkeeping, or are you leaving all till one time, okay? And you're in overwhelm and you don't know your numbers, which causes a lot of anxiety and stress. Are you meeting with a financial planner? Do you have that in your calendar? do you have a will in place? Do you have a plan for your future? Do you have some estate planning going on? Or is that something that you keep putting off? You guys, tomorrow is not promised. So if you don't have a will in place, that needs to get put at the top of your list, especially if you have children, all right? So important. I can't drive that home enough. So healthcare and self-care. Also, if you don't have your health, you guys, people are working so hard to make money and then their health is suffering. So I want you to write down, do you have your workouts scheduled in? Or has it been over a year since you worked out? Because you're like, I just don't have enough time. Okay? Health is so important. Meal prep. Maybe you go to therapy or, support meetings. Do you need to schedule in a massage or physiotherapy appointments? Hair prep, hair and nails, again, lashes, whatever it might be for your self-care, okay? Doctor appointments. When's the last time you had a medical? Ladies, if you're due for a mammogram, do you have that on your schedule? It's so interesting. We get so busy that it's so easy for these things to fall to the side. And then pretty soon you're diagnosed with something and you wait until it's too late. And I don't want you to wait until it's too late. That's my business, is helping people be proactive with their health, okay? So now the next category, relationships, right? Relationships are so important, whether it's with family, friends, business colleagues, building your network. So what kind of time do you have put aside for your children, date night, hanging out with your friends? Are you even having fun? Do you not have time for fun? You guys, life is too short to not have fun, okay? Do you have appointments, meeting up for coffee, drinks? Maybe you have to catch up. You'd like to catch up with a loved one or maybe a team member. Okay, do you have texts, phone calls, all of those things booked into your calendar? So again, we're not booking them in yet. We're just creating the dump list, okay? So now we're gonna move on to fun. Social time. What brings you joy and laughter? Okay, start dumping some of that down, even if you haven't done it. Maybe you love dancing, but you haven't gone dancing in 5 years. I don't care. Put it on the list, because the goal here is to start creating some time by being organized to fit those things that mean so much to you, that are important to you, into your calendar. Okay, maybe watching movies, TV, video games. Now, social media. Because put down social media, because this is where a lot of people are wasting a lot of time. They're not being intentional with their social media. It's just, you can scroll hours away, okay? And just not even be aware of it. So I definitely want you to still write down, because here's the thing, social media is not going anywhere. And it's just part of many of our days, okay? But we have to learn how to control it and not have it control you, right? So now this is something that's very, very important to myself and our family, is spiritual. Okay, do you go, like, a non-negotiable for me is church. We go to church every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock with our family. It's just something we do. We set aside time, okay? Prayer, meditation, whatever it is that you choose to do to, up your spiritual game. Maybe it's something you want to explore. Maybe that's an area of your life that you're like a 0 out of 10 in. Okay, you don't dedicate any time to that. So if that's something that you maybe want to explore, put that down on your dump list. All right. I know for me it's a big deal, but it isn't for everyone. And then I'm going to talk about volunteering and giving back, serving our community. Okay, do you volunteer your time, or maybe you prefer to donate money, or maybe you like to do both? So again, so you want to write that as down as well. So just again, go through these categories and just create that good old dump list. And if you're writing and you have like pages, okay, because I've had dump lists that have been pages. don't get overwhelmed, because this is what we're going to be doing next step. Okay. So now you are going to do a time audit. So what's a time audit? Well, have you ever tracked calories, right? Your food? Again, this is something I coach a lot of people on. Well, it's no different than tracking your time. So what I want you to do is photocopy a couple of blank pages out of that day timer, okay? They look like this. I want you to take 1 week and start writing down and just being very, very aware of where you're spending your time. So, and I know it might seem like such a mundane task and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Well, guess what? If you want to, if you want to create having more pockets of time in your life, you have to take the time to do this exercise. Because if you're not aware where you're wasting time, or maybe where you need to set boundaries on your time, you guys, you have to have the awareness around it, which means you got to start writing down where you're actually spending a lot of your time, okay? Now, some of you are very organized and you're like, well, I know exactly where I'm spending my time. This is really for those that are overwhelmed and aren't very organized with their time, okay? So it's just, again, you have to do that. So important. Okay, so now that you've done that, we're gonna start with number 4, and that is now going through your dump list and highlighting, okay? Pick a yellow highlighter, whatever your favorite highlighter is, and start marking down the non-negotiables. So obviously, if you have a job Monday to Friday from 8 to 5, you know that that has to go in the calendar. But here's the thing. Many people that go to a job, okay, for an employer, have dedicated breaks or a dedicated lunch hour. So that could maybe, if you're not having to work through those times, I understand sometimes you do, okay? But how are you using that break time? Are you wasting it? Are you just scrolling on social media? Or are you doing something to move you closer towards your goal, or maybe having more fun in your life, whatever's most important to you? Are you using that time wisely? Because if you go to work, let's say just typical Monday to Friday, and you have even a 30-minute lunch hour. I know a lot of people that choose to do their workouts on that lunch hour or go for a walk. Whereas other people just kind of sit there and choose to eat, bag of chips and scroll on social media. 2 very, very different activities, okay? So again, this is all about choices. You guys, you get to choose, for the most part, where you're spending your time or those extra pockets of time, okay? So once you have all of your non-negotiables in, you are going to have spaces. So like, I'm going to give you a little example. When I was doing mine for, let's say, the last week and a half, well, we had, I had GST that was due on a specific day, and I had to get caught up with a lot of bookkeeping and accounting. So that was like highlighted because I had a date, I had a deadline. So that was really, really important. So that was like non-negotiable. That had to go in the calendar, highlighted. And that's where I found the pockets of time, and everywhere there were some pockets, that's where I worked on that. And I had to put some other tasks to the side. But then that's like a one and done. And then when it's done, a project, it's done. And now all of a sudden you have more time for things, all right? So you have the things that are every single day, or maybe like, 5 out of 7 days a week. But then there's other things that you're gonna have like a project. So it's just a start date, finish date, and then it's done. And then all of a sudden more time opens up. So you're just gonna go through this dump list and you're gonna create some different priorities, okay? You're gonna go through, the non-negotiables are now in the calendar, and now you have some different spaces. So now you get to go through your list and go, okay, what's most important to me, right? What do I really want to focus on? I'm going to just talk weight loss. Maybe weight loss is one of your things you really want to focus on because your life depends on it, and it's something very, very important, and you have to start working on, improving your health. So you have to look at, okay, what do I need to do? Maybe you need to exercise more, right? Maybe you need to track your food. Maybe you need to be better on meal prep. Maybe you have to just understand when you're going to the grocery store, maybe you need to be more organized with a grocery list, and you have to stick to that and not get pulled into all the tempting aisles. Whatever it is, you're going to go through your list and you know what's important to you. Or maybe you've been wanting to do things or fit things in and you keep going saying, I don't have enough time. I know so many people that actually need to make extra money. I don't know anybody right now that couldn't use extra money. And they're wanting to start a side hustle or maybe take on a second job just to earn some additional income. And they're trying to find the time to do that. So you guys, this is what this exercise is all about, okay? All right, so we're gonna look at all the gaps in your calendar, spare blocks, and then you're gonna slowly fill those in. And don't worry if you haven't filled in. I like to leave some small blocks. You don't have to have absolutely everything filled in. Sometimes we're not sure. There's things that just, like, I call them the little snipes of life, that all of a sudden they come out of nowhere, and you need to have a little bit of space for the unexpected. Or sometimes we have things in place and bang, you ever get a call from the school and then you have to drive your kid to the hospital to get a checkup because they've, broken an arm? And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, okay, there goes 5 hours of my life. And this is why we have to have things planned. I love listening to podcasts while I'm on a walk, or, business trainings, product trainings, whatever it is. As much as I love music, it's not moving me towards what I want to achieve overall, okay? I still give myself some time. I mean, we have to have some fun and we have to enjoy things, but I keep it to a minimum because there's always so many trainings that I need to partake in, or I need to get updated on my products, or I want to work on personal development. So if you have an Audible, let's say you want to listen to whatever, make sure you have that downloaded onto your phone. So when there's times that are unexpected, or maybe where you're sitting waiting for your kids for an extra half hour and you're just sitting in your car, instead of just mindlessly scrolling on social media, because that's what I know what most people do, is that, are you prepared? And you can go, oh yeah, I don't need Wi-Fi to play this. I already downloaded a podcast that I want to listen to. So again, that all comes down to preparation. And where in your calendar do you have time put aside for preparation? Or where do you have time put aside to actually, do the dump list and put these things and keep your calendar updated? Because it's amazing how fast a week goes by. I was saying that this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do the next couple of weeks of my calendar, and I have to get everything put in. So you want to make sure that you schedule in time to do the planning as well. Because a lot of people kind of miss that step. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, I've got to do all this, but I haven't put that into my calendar, okay? So very, very important. So another thing, to get things out of your head, okay, and onto paper, I don't know about you, but I come up with some of my greatest ideas in the middle of the night. And yes, I'm a solid sleeper, but when we have a creative mind, I'm an entrepreneur, okay? So all of my fellow entrepreneurs out there, you know what I'm talking about, is that if I get an idea, I have a notebook with a pen beside my bed on my nightstand. I write it down, get it out of my head on the paper, boom, I go back to sleep. Because when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to sit there going, oh my gosh, I know I had something great in the middle of the night. I can't remember what it was. Because you know how much time we're wasting doing that? And same thing. Do you always lose your keys? Are you scrambling in the morning? Or do you get things prepped at night? Do you have a certain area that you put your keys all the time? I keep mine in the same pocket of my purse, and I know that my car won't even start if I don't have my purse. I bring it into the house all the time, okay? A bowl by the front door does not work for me. You guys, you will know what works for you. You've got to find your own system. But this is about, do you know how many people I know that waste time in the morning looking for their keys, and then all of a sudden they're back. They've lost 10 minutes because they're just it's just such a waste of time, and it doesn't have to be, okay? It's all of those little things that add up. So another thing is, making your kids or getting your kids to make their lunches the night before. If you work out early in the morning like I do, I always have my drinks made ahead of time, okay, for the treadmill. And I always have my clothes and my running shoes or my bag packed if I go to the gym. I'm not leaving it till the morning. You guys, this is prep time. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Prep is so important. So at night, you're going to go through your next day. You're going to take a look at your calendar and go, okay, I'm going to have this and this and this. I have to have this prepared. You guys, that takes like all of like 10 minutes max. So instead of sitting at the TV, in front of the TV and getting pulled in by your favorite show, you want to make sure that you take the time to go over your day, your next day. So you're not left in the morning scrambling, wondering like, oh my gosh, I know, like I'm so far behind. Because again, it's that overwhelm that really gets in the way of people achieving what they truly want to achieve. Okay. And it doesn't have to be that way. You guys, I am living proof that you can train yourself. Okay. Because that was me to a T. And I think that's why I can speak on this so well, because there's nothing like having experience, okay, and understanding. Is like, yeah, I've been there. So this is what makes me a little bit more of an authority on this. All right, so the end goal here is to really bring down your stress levels, get rid of the overwhelm, and be far more productive, or have more time to just enjoy life. So let's just quickly go through the 5 points, okay, that I was talking about. So you're going to go buy a day timer, okay? Number 2, you're going to create the dump list. Number 3, you're going to do a time audit. Number 4, you're going to start putting in the non-negotiables. And then number 5, you're going to start prioritizing other things off your list. Don't worry if you don't put everything in, okay? You can start highlighting, and guess what? The things on your list that you don't get done, you can just keep creating another dump list. So just keep creating new dump lists. And you know what? Slowly but surely, you'll start to be able to cross things off. And then you'll be able to go, oh my gosh, I have time to add this now into my calendar. But it's just by keeping an organized system. You guys, that's how you're going to live your best lives. And that's how, again, you're not going to have overwhelm, and you're going to have a lot more fun in your life. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my video, or to my channel, because I'm going to be providing a lot more of these tips and tricks for you on how to live your best life, because that's what I'm all about. And we all deserve to be healthy, happy, and just have overall peace in our lives. All right. God bless, guys. Have a great one.